Hey everyone, Todd here with Olsen Motorsports. This morning we're working on a 74 Alfa Romeo. Came in for a crank no start. Found that it has no fuel going up to the carburetor bowl. So we put a new pump in. The pump turns on and activates, and it has a small amount of flow, but not enough fuel volume for us to run the vehicle. So at this point, we have gotten to the point in our diagnosis where we have applied external power directly to the fuel pump, and we're getting the volume of fuel that we need to run the car, but the car is not supplying the pump with that proper voltage to keep the pump running at the right volume. So at this point, we have hooked up into the fuel pump circuit with a short finder, and we are going to attempt to trace the wiring and find out where the voltage drop is happening in the car. It's a single wire pump, single power wire with key-on ignition power and a ground. It's a very simple pump. When it does not run at the proper volume, obviously the car is not drivable. So that's what we're in the process of doing. Here we have our power probe short finder. So what this is going to do, it's going to take battery power from the vehicle into a signal module, which is going to project a voltage signal that's audible to this receiver into the circuit, which is what this is going to do right here. So when you turn on the device, it's going to tell you the direction of the short to ground, or if it were an open circuit, which we'll get into later, it will tell you where the open is, but it looks like it's detecting a short to ground. So with this receiver, with the arrows, the light is going to light up in the direction of the short to ground. As you can see, if I flip it over, the light always faces in the same direction. So basically, we're going to end up chasing this wire all the way to the point where it's passing through the car. So we're still here at the bulkhead, we're still chasing. Same wire comes through the back of the car here. It is gonna run up under this tunnel here through this hole. So we're gonna move to the interior of the car. So here's our harness coming through. We're still detecting a short in this direction. Once again, if I flip it over, you can see that the light is still directing us in the proper direction. It's able to see through metal and wiring harnesses. So we're chasing all the way along this door sill here. And we're ending up here at this connector here. So I'm gonna turn off my short finder for now so it doesn't keep beeping at us. So in this connector, we have the same pink wire that's running for fuel pump power directly. I have already separated this connector as it was corroded together. So what we ended up finding was that this connector on the inside originally had a bunch of corrosion and dust coming out. As you can still see, there's some left. And then this side has been contaminated as well, possibly just from age and moisture getting inside the car. But all these pins in this main engine connector are not contacting properly. So the first step in our diagnosis that we're going to do right now is we're going to clean up all of these pins, male and female side, and we're going to attempt to get a good connection after we clean those, and then we will retest the fuel pump voltage and see if we're getting proper function. So right now, I'm trying to clean the male side of all these pins here. The amount of corrosion that's on them could be preventing good electrical contact. So I'm just using a soft wire brush from a Dremel tool. I prefer to use it on my hand drill. It's easier for me to work with without the cords, and I just like the grip better. But so I'm just going one by one. You got to start with the simple stuff. If there's not a good connection, we're not going to get good current flow. So we're going to try to eliminate the simple things from this circuit that could be causing a problem before we move on to the bigger ticket items. So just bringing back the original finish on the outside of these without the corrosion that had accumulated over the past 30 years. It appears to be a white powdery substance that gets on there, but when you go to take it off, it doesn't just come off as if it were a powdery substance. You actually have to scrub it or brush it off. So get a little cleaning going on in there. So as you can see, those pins look a lot better condition than they were when we first came in here. You can see back down to the copper. So what we're going to do is we're going to dry this out thoroughly now, reconnect it, and retest the fuel pump. If we do not have the current we're looking for at this point, we will move further up the line in this circuit, which we will check back in with you shortly. Now that we've cleaned that connector in the front kick panel, our wiring and our voltage readings are all back to normal. So we have now checked volume flow on the fuel pump. It is putting out the proper volume of fuel into a container. So the problem we were having before the wiring issue was that the bowl for the carburetors was draining as the car was running. It was draining the bowl, and eventually we were starving for fuel. And then on initial cranking, when it came in, the bowl was empty, and the pump that we put in was not able to fill the bowl in order to run the car. So now that we have proper volume, it's keeping the bowl full. So we've gotten the car started. It runs well. The idle was a little bit low. We bumped up the idle. So we're pretty much back to normal now. It should be a turnkey, ready to go. So now we're going to have to go through the process of buttoning up everything that we took apart in order to find this problem and resolve it. So all the paneling in the back of the car, all the wiring is going to get heat shrinked and soldered back together. For now, it's essentially temporary in order to complete our diagnosis. So the car runs now. So it's cold. These cars like to run better when they're hot. So it's idling as it should. Everything is good to go. So we're gonna go wrap up the rest of the vehicle and get it on a road test and give it back to the owner.